A brave Nigerian journalist named Rufai Oseni has expressed his disappointment towards how Inec manipulated the presidential election results. As a people at Kibri's Got Talent Media House, we too are disappointed, especially when we look back at the situation, how people came out in large numbers, starved all day at the polling units. Some waited for 14 hours, some 18 hours to make sure that their votes count. But what did we hear about the Beavers technology, where the vote should be uploaded to electronically as what the world is using now? No, the story was a different one. Beavers machine is either was not there or the code to use for it is not there. The annoying thing is many people were wounded. All sorts of manipulation took place. Even we saw talks in these guys, how they came in and they snatched ballot boxes from people. So let us hear from Rufai Oseni of Arise News.
This election, like I said, makes it 100 years since Nigeria started voting. In 1923, we held the first election, then also the British. And if you look at things that dogged those elections, they're still evident 100 years after. So I submit to you this morning that the sad reality is that we have not changed pretty much in 100 years. Even when you look at the preceding elections of 1959 and also 1964, the massive irregularity that dogged those elections that led to all sorts of manipulations still hold sway. The only difference this time around is that the people are resilient. And in everything that has happened, on everything that would emerge from this election, I'll say the true heroes of this election are you, the Nigerian people, you watching me this morning that went out with your PVC to vote. In fact, I'd like to tell you to pat yourself on the back or clap for yourself. Because despite the tyranny, despite the suppression, despite the frustration, deliberately, you stood tall and you ensured your vote was counted. You stayed overnight at the polling unit and used your phones to become lights for the electoral officer to count the votes. A lot of you went there hungry 6 a.m. in the morning, and you hardly ate anything until after the vote was counted. You stood there even when the thugs that fail to realize that they are a reflection of a failed state. The thugs that fail to realize that their own lives could be better if their politicians truly cared for them came to attack you that was trying to liberate them from their own suffering. But you stood tall despite the fact that the police officials couldn't fight them back in some cases or fought them back in some cases, and you ensured that your vote counted. Some of you were so bold that despite the fact that your blood was dripping, your sweat was dripping, you voted. Jennifer has been mentioned. Those are the heroes. Despite the fact that her eyes were patched after the brutality of thugs, she looked carefully at the party she wanted to vote and ensured she voted. Jennifer's spirit just shows all of us that we have that can-do spirit. And the people can truly take their country in their hands if they want. So in all of this, you, the people, were the true heroes. Anything that happens in this election is your resolve. Is you speaking loud and clear that you will not take the things you used to take anymore. And because of your resolve in this election, I can boldly say that the Nigerian people, come what may, that the next 100 years is assured if we're to take a panoramic view. Because I know it's a long walk to freedom and getting elections right in this country. And since you have done this, you will not relent in the next election cycle. But amidst all of this, we still had lack of capacity that was shown by Inec. Inec flip-flopped so many times. And I don't want to predict anything, but I think these elections will be highly litigated. And it's only a matter of time. Inec, after realizing that one of his officials had flip-flopped initially in an interview, when the official said that we didn't promise that we're going to put presidential election results on IREV, now came back to issue 2 statements saying it was a technical glitch. Who do we believe? But a key person in INEC said they didn't promise they were going to put presidential elections on IREV. And I wonder, if only we can play their videos back for them. What did they say initially? They said the joker in this election was going to be the fact that from polling units, they were going to post them onto the IRF. They bragged about it. I asked here on Friday, hope they are not going to complain no data. But like I said, it came to pass. I sadly want to be right on issues that denigrate my country. But like I said, all the concerns I raised about INEC here on Friday, all of them came to pass. All of them. It was still a case of they couldn't upload results. Some said password, some said technical glitch. It was still a case of the fact that the channels on the IREF were not properly working. I talked about the tech. I saw the interface. I said it. That interface was suspect. But it came to be. It came to be. Which is a sad reality. I also said it here on Friday. That hope will not have the situation like Amuwo or Dauphin in 2019, where ballot papers were burnt. That led to the disenfranchisement of those people and votes were not counted. But it happened again. You saw how ballot papers were burnt and people had to scamper for their lives. But this time around it was different. Because in all fairness, the police and the army responded to some. But some they couldn't respond to. And the police spokesperson was trying to justify incompetence by saying that what will police officers do when you have a mob of area boys and you have 2 police officers? Really? As though we are the ones that wear police officers' uniforms now. Never ascribe to incompetence, never ascribe to malice what you can explain with incompetence. I think the police PRO should be properly tutored on how to speak, really. Just like the police PRO, just like the police commissioner in Kano that saw a child voting. And the next thing, when he was asked, he said, oh, you can't ascertain the physical features of a child. Very funny. So as we are now, we don't know who children are in society. I'm sure they will probably say they are unknown voters at a point. So these are the things we've always complained about, and they all happen. And it's not a good sign for INEC. We will wait for the results to continually trickle in, but this is not a good sign for INEC. Elections were disrupted. Kogi was even a funny case. Disrupted in Kogi Central. At first, the governor started by digging the Red Sea. So that he said he was fighting robbers, armed robbers or terrorists. But while it was 2 days to election, you remember to fight terrorists by digging the road into two, so that campaign materials will not get to the opposition person in the state, Natasha Akpoti. Is that the case now? Politicians will do their shenanigans. But you see, the people have spoken loud and clear. And that's the wave you are seeing across the country with Labour. Nobody will have expected what happened or what is happening currently in Lagos, with 2 local governments to spare. Labour is in comfortable position. It is the state of the city boy. But Lagosians are really showing that they own the city. Lagosians have shown that they own the city truly. What is the state of the city boy? Akwa Ibom, Delta and some other parts, massive voter suppression here and there, but the people are speaking tall. In closing, there is still a lot of voter apathy. because it could have been better. By the numbers I'm seeing, it's looking at, I think, less than 20% of Lagosians voted, which is sad, just like about the last figures from 2019 elections. Because if there are 2 local governments to spare, and both candidates have had little less than 1 million votes, in a state that normally will have about 6 million registered voters, then there's still massive voter apathy.